So, hey everybody, welcome back to Prince's Friend, exploring music through Prince. Today, I have my friend Chris back with me, and I decided not to point this way. I'm just pointing in general pointing. He's back with me, and we're going to be talking about the combination of Plectrum Electrum and artificial age, what they mean together, how they flow into each other. And I have a crazy theory that I'm going to share with Chris, and I'm going to see his live reaction here. I mean, as live as it's going to be, because I'm going to edit it, but still. Again, thank you for coming and doing this video with me, and wasting your whole Thursday night with me. But I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming and lending your voice here, because it's a good voice. You have great opinions, even if they differ from mine.
Man, thank you, man. I appreciate it. And yeah, this is definitely not a waste of time. Anytime that we talk, I greatly appreciate it, dude. I really do.
Thank you. I appreciate you as well. Kind of going back, it was released in September of 2014. The two albums were released together. Mm-hmm. And it's weird too, because if you listen to them, it was going to be kind of an experiment. One was going to be more earthy, Prince with a band, it's rock and roll, he has all this stuff going. And then the other one was going to be more electronic. It was going to be just him and doing electronic music. And that was fascinating to me when I heard that pitch. Like, this is before the album was released. And it was pitched to me like it's going to be a double album. One's going to be rock, one's going to be, electronic. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty interesting, because he did do that one other time. With Lotus Flower and MPL Sound.
That's
MPL
right.
Sound. One was more rock focused and the other one was more electronic focused. So it was interesting that he was going to be doing this again, but I feel like the inclusion of Third Eye Girl on Plectrum Electrum helped mold that album into feeling very different from a solo project, whereas the other two, Lotus Flower and MPL Sound, they were both still very Prince-centric, so they felt similar even if they were using different mediums, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Of course, in my brain, Prince doesn't do anything like on accident. You know what I mean? Like, that's not how he is. He's not going to release two albums together and be like, I don't know, that felt like it. It's like, it has to have some sort of meaning that they would come together. You've picked up on a lot of like the themes and like the moods and stuff like that going from each album.
The one takeaway that I thought was so profound is that if you just kind of listen to the album the way that he's telling it, it's almost as if he's telling us, like, we need to put our cell phones down, connect with the people that are right in front of us, and then set our minds on what's going to help us reach our full potential in life.
Yeah.
So I think it's such a timely reminder in this social media driven era that we're in, that I do think that instead of looking at him as like, oh, back in my day, like kind of thing, which I know like he had a tendency to kind of talk like that sometimes.
He had some of that. Yeah.
But I love the fact that like that album spoke to me at the right time, because I was 24 when it came out. And being right in the middle of that, social media driven era, like when it was really hitting its peak, and it still is in its peak now, but
it's still pretty peaky.
Yeah, it's still pretty peaky. but like that album spoke to me because of the generation that I'm in. I'm like, wow, like that's great that he took the time to convey that message. Now, whether or not people latch onto it, is a different story.
But here's how I see it. Feel free to interrupt me at any time.
Man, I'm just gonna buckle up and hear what you got to say. Let's hear it.
So here's how I see it, and I think I mentioned this in the Plectrum Electrum video we did, and I said like it goes Plectrum Electrum and then Artificial Age, and you have to listen to it in that order. Okay, so Plectrum Electrum is him, and he's doing rock and roll, and he's got his band, and he's singing about what he's seeing, and it's kind of like his commentary on like today and like the hard times, the modern song. This is like this is like he's feeling it in today. You know what I mean? If you listen to the album, he opens with Wow. And Wow is like, bam, like I've met you and I love you, right? Pretzel Body Logic, we love each other so much that we're forgetting about the world. You get to Ain't Turning Round. It's like, we're in this together. We're not going to turn around. Whitecaps Fix Your Life Up is where they start kind of listing some of the things that are wrong. So like, even though you're in love, you're noticing that there's things wrong in the world. And it starts kind of, also kind of, ripping you apart a little bit, it's hurting you inside. There's emotional stuff here. You end up going with like Boy Trouble and Another Love and Tic-Tac-Toe, actually, because Tic-Tac-Toe is kind of about the breaking down of, that love. And when Prince kind of turns around and he decides that he wants to try and do something good. So that's when Mars comes in. He's like, I see all this terrible stuff. I'm going to try my best to make it, good. And, the best thing that I can do is I can kind of come up with this amazing song, Funk and Roll, and everybody can jam out and it's amazing. It's pretty like standard, like Prince album. If you look at it from like an album standpoint of a Prince album, it's got its positive stuff. It's got its emotional stuff. You have everything kind of going there. Then Artificial Age comes in, and this is where the sci-fi aspect of it and all comes in, right? Because during the very first song, Artificial Cage, he's there and he's singing his song and everything, and then all of a sudden he's abducted.
Yeah.
And he's not abducted by aliens. Like that's the sci-fi thing. A lot of people are like, oh, he's abducted by people because he's talking to them in English and they're like waterboarding him. Like that's it's crazy, right? And they're saying like, tell us what you know. I feel like that was Prince saying like, I'm here and I'm trying my best to kind of teach everybody, but like everybody just wants to like leech off of my legacy and leech off of what I've created. They don't want me to like give it to them. They want to take it. And I think that's supposed to be like in the past and like, kind of grungy kind of like rock and roll time period as well. Because then after that, you go into Clouds. Right. And when you're in Clouds, it's in my opinion, that's where the sci-fi starts kicking in because his consciousness is uploaded because he's dead. Like his body's gone. It's like he's in another like universe. So he's in like another universe. So the whole Clouds thing, but he's also seeing that like the world around him is very different. Because before it was like Fix Your Life Up and Mars and like, it was like very grungy, very dirty. And now it's just like everybody wants to be a star. Everybody, everybody's on their phones. Like it's all like very digital and it doesn't feel right. I think that might also be why Clouds is kind of such a powerful song because it is kind of a fish out of water kind of song. And that's the setup. And then you have the voice come in and say like, oh, well, you'll be safe and whatnot. So then Prince starts lamenting about his old life that was left behind because he was killed for his secrets. That's the breakdown. So he starts feeling about that. But then he's like, well, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and bring back that old stuff using today's music. And that's where the gold standard comes in.
Gold standard, yeah.
The gold standard. And he's just like, can I bring old school to this new digital age that we're in? And that's where a lot of the lyrics of, put your phone away and all that stuff. Like he's trying to reach out. Like he's saying like, I'm your friend. I'm here. Like, I want to be a part of this. You don't have to take it. Like I'm willing to give it to you. So then you have, which is him finding somebody now in the present that he loves. Like he had big loves back in the day and they never worked out. Now he's finding a new love. And then that's when you get to, Breakfast Can Wait is awesome. But then you get into This Could Be Us. So there's issues. Then you get into This Is What It Feels Like. And it's just like, okay, all right, this isn't really good. Then you get the first affirmation. And the first affirmation is you're thinking about this all freaking wrong. It's not about you and her. We're all the same. You need to get off of that old way of thinking and you need to understand what it's like now in the digital age. Then it goes to Way Back Home. And that is him kind of coming to that final realization that you're right. Like, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is how I'm supposed to do this. I get it now. I'm finally on my way back home. I'm finally on my way to that thing that's going to, bring me to that pure happiness. Like I'm there. But remember what pure happiness was back in the day. Pure happiness to him back in the day was jamming out with his band. It was funk and roll.
Oh,
that's why funk and roll,
that's where it is.
Right there makes perfect sense, because then he returns, and it's not funk and roll digital edition. It's not funk and roll version 2. It's just funk and roll. It's the same song, just futuristic in a new way, reimagined. But it's the same song. It's the same. Hey, we had love, we lost love, but really we can all dance together. That's why it's like in that same spot. And that's why Time comes after it as well. Because after he's made that realization, and after he's now happy, he's got it, now is the time for the two of them to be together. And then it gets into the last affirmations and all of that stuff, because now it's like, he's here, he's got his love, he's ready to live there. And it's just like, for me, like, it wasn't until I realized that the two are supposed to be together, and I started listening to them as Plectrum Electrum into Artificial Age, and you realize that the beginning of Artificial Age is taking that character from Plectrum Electrum and basically shooting him to the future. Like, it was almost like, you know, it was Prince, but he was basically creating like a character. I don't know. That was the way that I've always interpreted it. And if you've watched any of my reviews, which I know you have, like, I'm always looking for like, what's the story here? Because Prince was always about that. Prince was always about what am I saying with this combination of songs? Why am I putting this song as track 5? Why isn't it track 2 or track 8? Like, why does it belong right here? And it's because it's usually a continuation, you know, of some sort of story that he's trying to give. So that was my very long-winded explanation of the storyline between the two that links the two and really makes like this an amazing like double album in my mind. So now it's your time to like tell me how wrong I am. Go ahead.
I'm dumbfounded by the fact that you were able to put all of that together and it made perfect sense.
Right?
I mean, because like, I think my interpretation of both albums being together, surface level, was correct. And it was this. I think that both albums have the 4 genres that he's known for the most: rock, pop, funk, and soul.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think for him to like, it was a celebration of everything that he's represented in music. And, you know, it's Plectrum Electrum is a throwback to the way things were back in the day. And then Artificial Age is a celebration of him embracing the new territory now, and him being kind of like the elder statesman in a way, but being willing to be a student.
Yeah.
You know, by him embracing Joshua Welton and in listening to these new sounds and these new different styles and finding his place in this selfie generation, like I said in the last video. So that was my interpretation. But I think what you said is a much deeper, more dense explanation of what I initially felt. And like I said, I'm dumbfounded by the fact that you connected all that together and it makes perfect sense. Because I was ready, like I was like, man, I'm ready to tear this thing apart if it's something stupid. But you nailed it, bro. You nailed it.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was saying. I was just like, you're like, oh, I don't like that funk and roll is there. And I'm like, but it has to be right there. It can't be anywhere else. Like, that's the perfect spot for it. But it's if you're correlating the two albums as like him experiencing the exact same thing, but realizing that, that whole thing of like insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So, he had that terrible thing. He fell in love and he lost it and was just surrounded by terribleness. And then he went to the future and started doing the exact same stuff. And then he started losing the people who he cared about. And it was just terrible until he realized that he needed to change. And I think what you were saying was also true, because that change from, a production level now and not a story element was that he needed to embrace the more modern production styles. He needed to be able to be like, not only am I going to have this, Joshua Welton come in and teach me a little bit about this stuff, but I'm also going to pass that on to him, the more old school stuff. And because that's the thing, like, that's what I got from a lot of the stuff on Artificial Age is that he was a lot of the songs and a lot of the mood feeling and stuff is it felt out of place. It felt like fish out of water. I'm doing this and it's not working the way that I want it to, and why isn't that happening? But also it felt like very much like it was pleading. It was like, I want this to work though. Like, can we do this?
Yeah.
So it again, and I think it ends really, really well. And I mean, we can like read the exact affirmations and like say this is exactly what this, taught and whatnot.
Right.
But I largely feel that, just like I said, the overall experience of the whole thing is, where this double album really shines.
Yeah, man. Oh my gosh. Like now I want to listen to both back to back so I can go through that experience that you just described. Like you said, Prince is not one to just put something together haphazardly. Like there is a method to the madness. And I think what you described, I'll be surprised if anyone else that is in the comments section, if they had the same realization that you did, because you're the first person that I've met that has broken it down in that way. And I'm like, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's wow. To bring it full circle. And wow. Now that you say that, Funk and Roll being on both records, that's the link. That's the link between
that is
the two
exactly
projects.
it. If Funk and Roll was not on Artificial Age, or if it was not on Plectrum Electrum, you're right, it wouldn't be linked. Like the whole point is that it ends, both albums end officially, both albums kind of end as like that joyous celebration of music and everybody loving each other. And like, that's what it is. It had to be on both. And again, like it needed to be Funk and Roll for both of them. It can't be Funk and Roll rock version, Funk and Roll this version, take two, early edition, original. Like it can't have that. They're the same song. Yeah. And you have to hear it as the same song, even though they sound completely different.
Right. And if what you described is exactly what Prince was going for, the legacy for both of these should be much, much higher than where they are. These two albums deserve to be companion pieces. Like you can't have one without the other. You
can't. And I tried listening to one and then the other. And obviously like Artificial Age always, called more to me because of the content and whatnot. And like I said, as soon as I started listening to Plectrum Electrum and I started like getting into it, and I'm just like, he's talking about the same stuff and it flows the same way in the same order of content. Wait a minute, what's going on?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I do that a lot. And I have a lot of people who will be like, whoa, I never thought of it that way. And then I have other people who are just like, well, you're wrong. And I'm just like, can you tell me why I'm wrong? And they're just like, no, you're just wrong. And I'm take my ball and go home. And I'm like, okay, like whatever. I share my interpretations of things. Again, like I've always felt like I connected with Prince. I never met him. I never met the guy, but I felt like he talked to me with his music. And being a writer, being a storyteller, like that's where my mind always went. Because some people are like, I listen to Prince to dance. And it's just like, I rarely dance when I listen to Prince because I'm listening for the words and I'm like, why did he put the beat there? And why was the clap there? And, he said, wait a minute in this song. He said, wait a minute in this song too. Are those songs now connected? Like that's how my brain works.
Yeah. You sound like you're a bit of a wallflower at a dance party because I'm like, yo, if Housequake comes on, like, there's no way I'm going to be sitting down. They'll be like, and
I can dance though. I can dance. I can dance. It's not about but when Prince music comes on, it's like, it makes me all introspective. It's like, that's how it's always been with me. But yeah, this episode was very heavily me. Do you have anything else that you want to add to this?
No, honestly, like when you and I talked about this, about wanting to tackle this album, I almost kind of wish in a way that we were able to tackle it around the anniversary. But I also think the fact that we had time to kind of reflect on it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because there were some new things that hit me over the last few days as I was revisiting the record, kind of preparing for this episode. And I don't know if I would have been able to make the connections that I did back in September around the anniversary. So in a way, I'm kind of thankful that we did it at the time that we did.
I don't think we're too far off, though. I think it's still, it's still the same year.
Yeah.
So I think we're okay.
And for a record to be like, it's 5 years old at this point, and for it to resonate with the both of us and resonate with, you know, people that are paying attention to this channel the way that it does. Really says a lot about Prince. And I remember making this point around the first video that we did, is that we were so spoiled to have an artist like him that I hope that long after we're dead and gone, that he is celebrated and discussed with the same amount of respect that we give to like a Mozart or a Sebastian Bach or you know, folks like that, you know, Beethoven. Like, he should be in that same atmosphere of like, hey, like, this is someone who made profound art. Even though you are where you are in your lifetime, you can connect with it in your way because of the fact like there's so much substance. It's more than just style. Like, there's so much substance that's underneath. You just have to take the time to listen to it.
Yeah, I feel like that's what Artificial Age does. I feel like Artificial Age was like Prince's love letter to like this current generation. It was just like, your mama might know me for 1999. Here's an album for you. And I've played it. I played it with my kids around, and my like 13-year-old was just like, can you play that song again? I was like, okay, I like that song. Let's do that one again. And I'm just like, yeah, I know.
that's awesome, dude. But yeah, like I said, anytime that we sit down and talk, like I enjoy it. But this one has like, this is extremely meaningful. I really enjoyed talking about this album with you. So thank you so much.
No, thank you. I mean, it's there's very few people that I can actually like sit down and talk Prince and really like, you know, like vibe, even and connect, even if I don't agree with you, like I get why you like, you know, Time, and I'll be like, it's not really one of my favorites on the album, but like, I completely understand why you like that.
So if I say 11, you could say it's 7.
See, there you go. Yeah.
Like I said, your theory makes perfect sense. And I hope that if that's exactly the way that Prince intended it, whether we get that answer or not, I hope that theory gives, you know, folks a greater appreciation for both records. Yeah.
And honestly, that's what I do here is I like throw out my theories, and it could be wrong, it could be right, but hopefully it'll get you to think when you're listening to it, and you're not just bumping your booty to it. You're just like, whoa, like I get the themes and the story and all that stuff here. Cause that's what drove me to listen to Prince. Thank you once again for coming and being with us, Chris. Really love it when you're here. We'll try and get another one of these done maybe after the new year. I have a couple of cool topics that I want to talk with you about that I think you would have some great insight in. And thank you to all of you who have come and watched this episode as well as the episodes before it. And, you know, I do want to continue the discussion down in the comments. So don't forget to talk about Artificial Age, Plectrum Electrum, and what do you think about my theory? Like, Chris seemed to think it was okay, but I'm a little out there sometimes. I overthink things. And I get that. I still think I'm right. But let me know about all that stuff down in the comments. Otherwise, don't forget to check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/PrincessFriend. Hit the like button, subscribe, and the bell and all that stuff. And may you live to see the dawn. Love you all. Thank you guys for coming.